All right, what's up, everybody? We're trying something different today. I got my first guest with me. I sound like a talk show host. Obviously, this is
Yeah.
the first time doing this. But Monty and I are on Zoom here, and we've talked about this. I've had so many ideas and doing stuff on my own, but of course, it's always better with friends. And today we have Monty. So how are things going, Monty?
Hey, things are going great. I'm trying to survive in this quarantine life.
Yeah,
It's kind of scary, but I guess it's the way of life now.
yeah.
So
So speaking of scary, like what about our our Corona beards,
oh my
Corona
gosh,
haircuts?
our hair.
And I thought mine was
I
bad.
can't wait to go to the salon or to the barbershop and get this all chopped off or retouched or something because this is ridiculous. This is
Yeah,
the most I've ever my beard. This is the most I've ever let my beard grow. And
yeah.
I think it's been about 2 months, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe a little over 2 months since I've been to the barbershop. So
yeah. And
it's
I know,
all now starting to tangle into each other. So
I can't imagine. Can you like tie it up, braid it up? Is there stuff you can do?
so I can I got headbands and I have hair clips, but to go to sleep with those is like ridiculous because the hairbands just come off and the hair clips are uncomfortable to sleep with. So I just don't put it in. I just let it hang. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And if I lay on my side for too much, I have a mohawk.
Nice. Love it. Love it. Some of these vlogs I've been talking about recommendations. And so I figured this might be one to go with you and see what kind of TV shows you've been watching, what kind of music you've been listening to, movies you've been seeing, games you've been playing, and things like that.
So recently, I've gotten into like TV watching. I've gotten into America's Next Top Model. I remember watching it for a little bit when I was younger, but I wanted to like really like dive into it, as an
Mhm.
adult. And so I've been like binging the seasons, and some of those seasons are a little cringy, but they're good. Um, and also, let's see, I just started getting into Parks and Rec
Ah,
with
yep.
Amy Poehler. Yeah, it's pretty funny. So I just started that. So I'm on season 3, I think, right now.
Okay.
So I've just been binging like old stuff that people were recommended to me, but you know, and of course I'm watching The Masked Singer, because
Of course, yeah.
that's
Yep. You're like a huge Masked
it's
Singer
just great.
fan.
Right, I'm a huge fan. I've been watching American Idol and The Voice lately as well because they've been doing like their home since they've been in the live versions of the show. They've been like doing it all at home now, so it's kind of cool to see how the creative they've been with producing that show.
You and me are sort of opposites as far as TV. You love reality TV, the competition is the whole thing. And it's not so much that I don't like it, but it's, if I want to spend time watching TV, it's usually a crafted, written out, scripted show.
Uh-huh.
It is usually what I'm looking for. But that having been said, Survivor, the granddaddy of all reality shows, recently had, I want to say just last night, at least for when we were recording this, had their finale, and everything was recorded except for the finale itself, which they usually do live later
Uh-huh.
on, but they couldn't do it because it ended up being in quarantine. And it was a 3 hour special, and my whole family was sitting there watching it. So I was kind of off to the
That's kind of
side
cool.
doing my own thing,
Yeah.
but half watching it. And it was really tough not to get drawn in. And for something that's been on TV for 20 years,
Yeah.
it seems like they're doing a pretty bang up job still. So,
But video games, I've been playing the Switch, so I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which I'm kind of getting bored with right now, but that's what I've been playing. Um, Also, I've been playing Clue. I found Clue
the
recently, so
classic
I
board
started
game.
playing. Yeah, the classic board game, but they have like different variations on it. Like you could be vampires and Frankenstein, and you can be in the Wild West and be in like Hollywood studios. Kind of cool. It's kind of cool to have different options. So I've been
Does
doing
it
that.
change the rules of the game or just do a different setting?
Nope, still just change the setting and the people. Yep, the rules are still the same.
Yeah.
Still have to figure them all out. So yeah,
You know,
yeah.
one of the things, at least for gaming, that I was going to mention is I've been using this website app called Tabletopia. Have you heard of
Hmm,
that? So
never heard of it.
it's basically a platform for playing board games. Basically, what it does is it doesn't enforce the rules or anything like that, but it sets up a 3D environment where you have a little hand and you literally pick up pieces and
Nice.
move them.
Uh,
It'll roll dice, it'll shuffle cards
right.
and things like that for you. But it basically gives this framework for being able to play games, board games, remotely with other friends. And I
Nice.
know that there are apps for it, like some of those games like Clue, I'm sure have multiplayer things where you
Oh
could
yeah.
probably set up with family or friends and play a game that way. I've been doing a little bit there with some friends, and then I've been
Mhm.
playing this board game called Gloomhaven, solo
Oh
by
yeah, I remember you
myself.
talking about that. Uh-huh.
So Gloomhaven is this big, huge box of game that is maybe about 100 different scenarios of, it's like basically a dungeon crawler, but it has its unique way of playing where you play by cards. There's no dice. It's a game where you literally put stickers on boards, stickers on cards, things get ripped up. There's secret envelopes and boxes and
Wow.
other things that you unlock. So imagine playing a video game where you get different things, you earn stuff, you unlock things, but it's in a physical board game that has all those things.
Do they have like expansions or anything since things get ripped up where you can buy
There
things
are
again? Or,
expansions that you can add to it. Yeah, there's
okay.
one expansion to the base game, and there's two other versions of the game that are coming out. So
Nice.
it's an investment, you know,
Yeah.
but it's not. I don't think it's any more of an investment, say, than like a video game where you need to learn all the rules. You keep getting
Mhm.
powers and fancy stuff and unlocks and upgrades. This one is just it's just tabletop stuff that you just physically do, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
More so face to face, something that we do on the
Right.
road.
Yeah, I have a few tabletop games I play as well. So we were playing Villainous on the road, but I haven't played any solo yet. But there are ways you can play it solo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Actually, I listed it on the bus, so it's on the bus. So I don't even have it
Oh,
with me.
no.
I would play it solo if I had it, but it's okay. It's on the bus, so it'll be there when we go back on the road, which will be
Yeah,
hopefully soon.
someday.
Um, I have Legendary, which is something that you introduced me to. We played it, and I fell in love with it, so I'm like completely invested in it. I have
And
like
it's a
8
Marvel card
expansions.
game.
It's a Marvel game. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
Marvel game because I love superheroes, and
of
Marvel
course.
is definitely top of my list. So I have like a play mat, and I have die, and I have bags, and I have to organize it all. There's about 100 different characters to it, so you get to play like this game with all these characters. So each game set up, you hit 5 characters. So all the combinations of characters that you could think of is available.
Because it's a cooperative game, right? So you can play solo
Yeah,
or you can
yeah.
play with other
Hmm.
people, and you work together to beat. You work together as heroes to beat various villains, right?
Yes, uh-huh. And they have like different tactics and stuff that they use. So you have to get rid of all their tactics so that way you can defeat them. And then they have like henchmen and their villain groups that come out to the city. You have to defeat them before they escape out of the city, and then causes a ruckus amongst your heroes. But yeah, there's a lot of different schemes, and they're plotting to like do a robbery in Midtown, all that good stuff. So there's a lot of cool things going on with Legendary.
Yeah, there's just like thousands and thousands of variances,
Thousands.
right? Of
Yeah.
combinations of things.
Hmm.
That's great. Yeah, it's a fun game. It's a fun game, and I know because you know pretty much every Marvel hero and villain, so you get a
Yeah.
little more out of it than, or
Yeah.
at least annoyed at people like me that are like, "Who's this? What is this guy? Who does he do?"
No, I love when you guys play because then I get to educate you guys on Marvel. Oh yeah, this person is this one, and they belong to this team, and
At least you don't
especially
quote like issue of comic books. Don't go that
no,
far, which
not
is
yet. I'm not there yet. No.
which I appreciate. So.
Speaking of comic books, I did get a new comic book while we were in quarantine. I got House of X, which is a new X-Men graphic novel. Haven't read it yet. I read page 1, but I need to finish the rest of it.
Okay.
Yeah, gonna try to finish that before we go back to work.
So for the longest time, I was reading this Beatles biography. It's sort of like
Oh,
the
cool.
official one by Hunter Davies, who's this guy who spent many, many years with them in 67 and 68. So basically in the years when they put out Magical Mystery Tour, Sergeant Pepper's, things like that, after they had stopped touring. And he just spent all this time with them in the studio. And that part is, well, how they started, and then I mean just everything about it is just super fascinating.
Yeah,
But
that's pretty awesome.
I always have a hard time with nonfiction because even though there's a story to it, it's not deliberately paced like the way a fiction book is. And
Hmm.
I just, even though I thoroughly enjoy it, it takes me so much longer to get through than a fiction book. One of the things that fascinated me the most, you hear about them breaking up and all the arguments and things, but during that time, after they had stopped touring and they were just making albums and writing together and things like that, and they all had wives or girlfriends, but how comfortable they felt with each other, and how strong those friendships were with the four of them because of how intense the touring was.
Right.
And all made that choice to stop touring together, but it was one of those things where they loved spending time together, usually musically and creatively, but just doing stuff and going to visit each other. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like they only really felt very comfortable with each other, with the four of them.
It's pretty awesome though.
Yeah, yeah, it was nice to see. I mean, because it's sad that things kind of went downhill,
Because most
afterwards.
time when
But
you hear about touring groups, you hear about like all the bad stuff, like the breakups, the fights, the drama.
yeah,
You hear about them wanting to hang out with each other, and feeling comfortable with each other.
yeah, which is usually the case with us. We usually get along really, really well,
Yeah.
and it's been really weird to not be together.
It really has been. I
No,
miss you guys. I'm just sitting here like, oh, I wonder what they're doing.
and probably, I mean, what most people are probably doing is watching TV, watching
Yeah.
Netflix, and things like that. I've been watching. Star Trek has been a big one. We subscribed to CBS All Access and
Oh,
got a
nice.
month, and then basically used that to watch Picard and Discovery the first couple seasons, and I really enjoyed that. And what about music? Any new music you've been listening to?
I listened to the Beyonce Megan Thee Stallion remix of Savage, and I've
Mm-hmm.
been pumping that for like the past week or so.
Yeah,
So a lot of choral music, so I've been listening to a lot of madrigals.
really.
Yeah, I know it sounds odd, but right now I'm like missing like a lot of things. So high school is one of those things I'm missing. So I've been missing madrigals. So I've been listening to those kind of reminisce on high school, and I have a recording of my high school choir, so I remember listening to that too. And Brandy has a new album coming out, so I've been listening to that. She has a song with Chance the Rapper out. It's called Baby's Mama. Listening to that. Her album is due out in July, I think.
I've been loving Dua Lipa's new album. I think it's
Oh,
fantastic, and so she's had a lot of singles from
yeah.
from this, and we were just starting to learn before we all got separated. We were just starting to learn "Don't Start
Mhm.
Now." Yeah, Future Nostalgia is the name of
Oh,
it, and
okay.
so it's kind of like this modern sounds combined with a throwback sound, which is one of my favorite things right now.
Yeah,
It's just that
absolutely.
combination of different things. Justin Timberlake was kind of the king of that for a while, but
Hmm.
yeah, this album I think does it fantastically. So that's highly recommended by me.
Nice. Speaking of Justin Timberlake, did you listen to The Man in the Woods, that album that he released like a couple years ago?
I don't think I ever listened to the whole album from start to finish.
I did, and I did not enjoy it. I think that's where he fell off kind of for me.
I think I didn't listen to it because I think I had heard a couple singles that I didn't really care for
Yeah.
uh, before I heard some stuff that I did like. And with streaming, just like you can go on and watch whatever movie or TV show you want now, you can do that with music, and
Huh?
it really changes the game. It changes the way I think people in general listen. And
Right.
I'll say, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've seen blogs on songwriting talk about how almost every song, because of the nature of streaming, nowadays starts with the chorus.
Mm,
There's not a lot of build-ups. There's not a lot of intros. A lot of them are just going to start bam and just give you the hook right away. Because when you're streaming, you only have a few seconds to make this big
right.
impression
That's
before
interesting.
someone's just going
Yeah.
to skip to the next track or move on to another artist. I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad. It's just the way it is. And
Right.
I mean, I love the fact that I can stream, whatever I want. You can make these recommendations. I can go right in and listen, as soon as
Exactly.
we get off the phone. And it's,
That might help me with my next song exactly because I'm trying to write songs for Ball in the House. So
yeah,
that's a good approach to have for the next song I'm writing. So yeah,
yeah.
course first.
It's
Just to
just
see,
like
it might be interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a practical consideration,
Right.
like having shorter songs for singles and longer ones
Right.
for albums and getting more
Mm-hmm.
experimental with that stuff. I don't know how valid all that stuff is, nowadays. I think with streaming, again, you can kind of do whatever you want, uh,
Right.
but yeah, so I'm interested to hear what everybody's been working on because we've all been
Yeah.
working on stuff separately. And
Mm-hmm.
you and I just talked recently about exchanging some music this weekend and starting to move to a collaborative state. So
Yeah.
what happens there? All right. Well, we're
All
giving a
right.
bunch of recommendations. So if you have other recommendations of your own, please chime in. and just let us know whether it's a book, a movie, a TV show, some music, games, board games, video games, whatever. Chime in. And Monty and I will be touching base really soon again. And we're going to try and translate this Zoom meeting onto a Facebook Live where you'll be able to interact with it. So we got to figure out technology and things like that, because, you know, if it was my daughter, she'd be like, oh, yeah, you just do this. But it's work for me to figure this out. So, but I'm happy you came on, Monty, and we were able to do this.
For having me, man. It was fun.
For coming on and giving some recommendations. Glad you're doing well. Great to see that hair. And
yeah, hair is swinging.
Sounds good. And we will be back, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. Thanks.
All right. Sounds good.